It's time for the 8-Minute Devotion. The 8-Minute Devotion is a daily message that fills you with hope and encouragement from the Word of God. Here's your host, Pastor Cameron Walcott.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the 8-Minute Devotion, our Wednesday episode. I am so glad you've chosen to join us. So glad that we can spend this time together today. 8 minutes of hope and life and encouragement from the Word of God. We are in a series on David called The Heart of David. We're just jumping into it. And our first main message in this series is called When Others See a Shepherd Boy, God May See a King. Now, of course, this is borrowed from a song back from, I think it was the late 80s, maybe the early 90s. When others see a shepherd boy, God may see a king. And we're going to look at the actual story now of David, how he was chosen by God. The story of what happened when David was chosen by God to be the next king. Now, to put all of this in historical context, this story, David being chosen, takes place a little more than 1,000 years before Jesus came to earth. This probably took place a little bit before 1000 BC. This took place after Saul, of course, had been anointed the first king of Israel, and this was after the judges. So in the history of Israel, they were slaves in Egypt. Moses led them out. Joshua led them into the promised land. And after Joshua, there was a time of judges. Different tribal leaders ruled over Israel in different ways, would deliver them from the enemies. Sometimes the enemies would dominate Israel, the enemy nations. Other times they would have a strong judge who would lead them to freedom. Then came Samuel the prophet. God raised up Samuel as a mighty prophet, but the people wanted a king. And that's when God said, give the people what they want. This isn't really my will, but give the people what they want. God spoke to Samuel to anoint Saul as the first king. Saul at the beginning was a good man. Saul had some good qualities in him, but of course, over the course of his reign, Saul turned more and more to pride and his insecurity. Saul became a disastrously bad king, and God told Samuel, who was the prophet, he was still around, now an old man, God told him to go and anoint the next king. And God tells Samuel to go to Jesse's house. Jesse and one of Jesse's sons will be the next king. So again, this takes place about 1,000 years before Jesus came to earth. And that means it's about 3,000 years, probably a little more than 3,000 years ago from today. And that's the background to this story. So Saul's disobeyed the Lord. It's time for a new king. Samuel's in Bethlehem, and the Lord tells him, go to Jesse's house. One of Jesse's sons will be my choice to be the next king. So 1 Samuel 16 and verse 6. Samuel's gone to Jesse's house. Jesse's called all of his sons together. Seemed to have called them all. He said he called them all. And this is what it says. When they came, Samuel looked on Eliab and thought, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. Samuel saw Eliab. Samuel saw Jesse's firstborn son. And Samuel thought, this must be the man. This one must be the next king. This must be God's choice. You see, at this point, all Samuel knew was that God had said, one of Jesse's sons will be the next king. And Samuel looked, and he sees this firstborn son named Eliab. And in his natural mind, Samuel thinks, well, it's Eliab. It's got to be Eliab. Look how good he is. Look how tall he is. Look how strong he is. Look how smart he looks. It's got to be Eliab. But what does the Lord say in verse 7? But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. God does not see how man sees. God has a different way. So even Samuel, the prophet, Samuel was a mighty prophet from God. Samuel had had so many experiences with the Lord. Samuel had heard from God in profound ways. Even Samuel made this mistake. Even Samuel had this inclination to look with his natural eyes. And when he saw Eliab, man, it's got to be him. Look at how he looks. Look at how he looks in relation to the other brothers. It's got to be Eliab. And that's so interesting to me that even the anointed prophet had this wrong inclination to choose with his eyes. But fortunately, although that was his first inclination, fortunately Samuel's heart was soft before God and his ears were open to God. And God told him, look, don't look on his height. Don't look at what he looks like. I've rejected him. The Lord said about Eliab, I have rejected him. Man looks on the outward. God looks on the heart. So Samuel hears that, he obeys, and he looks at the rest of the sons. Then Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel, and he said, neither has the Lord chosen this one. Then Jesse made Shammah pass by, and he said, neither has the Lord chosen this one. And Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel, and Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these. Very interesting story. God was not choosing any of them. What was wrong? God had told Samuel, one of Jesse's sons will be the next king. Samuel had told Jesse, bring all your sons before me. Jesse had told Samuel, these are all my sons. And now Samuel goes through them one by one, and God keeps saying, it's not him, it's not him, it's not him. God wasn't choosing any of them. What was wrong? What was going on? Well, what was going on was this. Jesse was just like Samuel at the beginning. Jesse was also choosing through natural eyes. Jesse was thinking, well, it's got to be one of these 7. There's no way it could be the youngest. There's no way it could be the shepherd boy. There's no way it could be David. You see, man has this inclination to choose with our eyes, to choose based on what natural wisdom says. But God looks at the heart. And even the prophet Samuel needed to be reminded, don't look through your natural eyes. Look through your spiritual eyes. And I pray that all of us will learn something here, that we will not be confined to a natural way of seeing things. We will not be in this box where we only look at things through our natural mind and our natural understanding. But we will say, Lord, help us to transcend this, to transcend our natural inclination. Lord, help us to hear from the Spirit and to look at people and to look at situations the way that God looks at them, so that we will make the right choice. Of course, Jesse did have one more son. His name was David. He still needed to come out. And that's the part of the story we're going to pick up tomorrow, only on the 8-Minute Devotion.
Thank you for listening to the 8-Minute Devotion. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you listen to or watch it. And email us at the8minutedevotion@gmail.com with any questions or comments. May God bless you